Science of mind. It really begins with a simple question. What do I want? It provides a holistic path of interplay, I'd like to call it, providing ongoing insight through right relationship with the natural laws of the universe that will deepen our own awakening to our true nature and point us to the freedom we inherently were given, along with the capacity and the desire to attain it. Pretty powerful statement. And I know all of you can feel that in one way or the other, because all of you have proven to yourself over your life that life works through you. Life doesn't do things to you. It's rather comforting. This is what gives us our internal strength, or as Dorothy sang about, our hope. Now, we don't usually use that word hope in Science of Mind because, spiritually speaking, metaphysically speaking, it denotes a distance of time and space. When we hope forward into some future which doesn't really exist, because the creative power is only and ever present and available right where we are. But I think today it's befitting to allow that word hope to be a springboard and a stepping stone, because we're up to something quite big. Aboriginal Week. Something quite big. Charleston. Something quite big. I'm going to share with you some of the thoughts of my colleagues that came across the CSL listserv today, including a statement from our spiritual leader, Dr. Ken Gordon, in response to Charleston. I think that's why I'm a little emotional today, actually. Charleston. Just recently, a young white, they call him a white supremacist, but a young white man opened fire in a church, an act of racism against and killed 9 individuals. So America's reeling, the world is hopefully reeling and coming closer to what it has to do with them, which means us, which means me. But I want to start with Nothing Private in the Universe with a video, a YouTube video I was watching yesterday. Dr. Michael Persinger, have any of you heard of him? He was doing a lecture at Laurentian University. Persinger. And his lecture was, interestingly enough, as I was internet surfing, no more secrets. No more secrets. What the future will be, on a very positive note. So some of the facts I found fascinating, and very much, of course, in correlation with metaphysics, are these. Everyone is connected in the Earth's geomagnetic field. Our brains in the Earth's magnetic field operate and connect in the generation of 7 hertz. So our brain operates in the same generation of hertz as does the geomagnetic field of this Earth. The field contains the memories of 7 some billion of us on the planet. Is this sounding familiar? If the geomagnetic field is less intense and we are also in a relaxed state with our right brain taking the lead, at which we operate at 7 hertz, when our right brain, our creative brain, is taking the lead, we can tap into this information, thereby tapping into the information of others. And there will potentially be no more secrets. What would life be like? Nothing is private in the universe. In metaphysics, we are taught that everything is already known in the mind of God or the infinite field of potentiality. And we are also taught that it's all loving, that love is the inspiration for all life, for all creation. And creation actually happens through an ongoing, automatic, impersonal creative process. This is our symbol of our teaching, right? Spirit, all loving, conscious, moves through the law of its own being, which is impersonal. These are big words and deductive, and creates some kind of form out of the invisible substance that always and eternally exists. So I decided to check a little further on my favorite Google resource. I don't think books are even necessary anymore. I'm not sure. Maybe I should have a big book sale at the house. You know, I keep looking at them going, oh, those are all, you know, science of mind books, and they're so precious, and I have like my stamp of, you know, value on all these books, but really.
There's still value on books, don't say that.
Anyway, even if they give me joy when I look at them, that's value enough. So I checked on Google. There's no private good. Okay, so we're talking about nothing private in the universe. There's also no private good. You may have heard that expression. That someone's good is everyone's good. That someone's poverty is everyone's poverty. So it works both ways, right? But in Google it says, it's an economic term related to goods or services that does not generate any external entities. There is no private good. I'll repeat that. Is an economic term related to goods or services that does not generate any external entities. The producer or consumer of the goods or service will bear all of the cost and receive all of the benefits. If that's not a metaphysical statement, I don't know what is. It's like the law of cause and effect. We think, and therefore so it is. Right? It's like the law of karma. What we put out, we get back. Right? So how can this happen if we are not connected to the wisdom and creative power of life itself? The universal field, or the geomatic energy field of the earth, or God, or the creative power, is all one system. We are it. We are in it. We are as it. We think into it. We extract from it. There is only one. Now, Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes said, and you mostly are familiar with this saying, it's made many banners over the years, there is a power in the universe, and we can use it. Now, our spiritual leader, Dr. Ken Gordon, in response to the event in Charleston, and we will be actually sending it out this week. It was a beautiful picture. He was speaking somewhere, and I'm sorry I can't bring this information forward at the moment. But on the picture that was made, it was like a poster. He said there's a power in the universe, and we can allow it to use us. Now, why that to me speaks so loudly is because we, through our own perceptions and judgments that are created out of our experience and belief in limitation and lack in this world, like the Holmes' statement better in the way it's literally written. We can use it. But you know, when we use something, whether it's in us, outside of us, or whatever, we set the motivation we set and the intention we set to use it is to get something, to bring something into our experience we think we lack or we don't have. Now, it is true we haven't experienced everything. You bet. Are we up for more experiences? Yes. We want adventure? Yes. We want to take risks? Yes. Feeling a little fear isn't too bad, you know? It kind of pushes us forward a little bit, you know? But it still comes from the idea that we're missing something out there, an experience, because we feel we're missing something in here. If you look at it the other way around, There's a power for the universe, and it can use us. It means that we're not out after anything. We already have everything, and we are allowing that which is infinitely intelligent, which is impersonal in its execution, to just move through us, and we get out of the way. Now, that to me is a much better deal. I think it's a divine deal, as a matter of fact. I think it's a divine deal. One of the things that was sent out on the listserv was an article by the Quakers. It was a statement they sent regarding Charleston, and I want to share a little bit of it with you. They said, arresting the perpetrator of this mass murder will arrest a person, but not the problem. Nice word, use of that word. We will make no progress as a society if we believe that justice is done simply by punishing one individual white supremacist. Racism is not just a historic problem or the work of a few individual bad apples. Racism, whether by direct intent or deeply entrenched structural factors, is a problem in all aspects of life, including economics, housing, healthcare, criminal justice, policing, education, media, you can go on and on and on, right? So we're living in a moment when many people in this country and abroad are seeing America, their nation, in their addictions to racism and violence for what they are. And what they are social ills woven deeply into the tapestry of society. Now, yes, it happened in America. Beyond borders. What does that even mean? If we are all connected, it's happening within us. We may not identify with it. We may not identify the thoughts we have that are violent, that are discriminatory, that are racist. But we can identify with the thoughts that we have that are self-critical, that are self-judging, and denying ourselves of the good of life itself, the very good and the best of life itself. We can identify with those thoughts, and that's where it begins. We are divided against ourselves. That could be interpreted as violence. We are perpetrating an ill truth, an illusion, a misperception about who we are and what is possible by means of us, by means of the presence that we are, the power that we are. It continues to say that this is a vital social challenge for us all, and one that white people have particular responsibility to address. Can you hold that? Can you hold that? Can you contemplate that? Will you give it one extra thought? None of us will be truly secure until our systems are built to protect the well-being of all people. In memory of the 9 beautiful souls lost to the violence of a man propelled by racist philosophies and a culture of violence that our society as a whole is accountable for, each of us must recommit to ending violence at its roots. Acknowledging the effects of generations of racism and violence on our current condition is a first step, for sure. Taking concrete actions to transform our society, institutions, and relationships to end racism, and I'll add relationship with ourselves, is the next step. In fact, I would reverse the two. I know it's a bigger conversation, but it begins right here in our heart. Because until we start loving this, that, until we start loving this, our mind will not open will not expand to the greater truth of, again, who we are and what is possible by means of us, the power here in us, the presence here in us, that is us, that can take action. You don't have to fly to Charleston. We've talked about this before when Katrina happened. But what you do in consciousness will be imprinted into the one mind, into the geomagnetic field where all will receive a piece of that imprint. You can do something right now. You don't need to be anything more or have anything more. This is powerful. Dr. Ernest Holmes talked about the ultimate standard for metaphysical consciousness, which is what I'm talking about. Taking the high watch, knowing the greater truth for yourself and everyone. He described it as follows. He said, when Jesus explained to his disciples that they had failed to heal because of lack of faith, they protested that they did have faith in God. Jesus explained to them that this was insufficient. They must have the faith of God. The faith of God is very different from a faith in God. You can see it bridges separation. The faith of God is God, and somewhere along the line of our spiritual evolution, this transition will gradually take place where we shall cease having a faith in and shall have the faith of. Always, in such degree as this happens, a demonstration takes place. We must believe because God is belief. The physical universe is built out of belief. It's built out of faith and acceptance and conviction. When we have the faith of God, nothing is private in the universe. All is known, and there are no secrets. Now, today, as I mentioned before, marks summer solstice. How many are going to be celebrating something tonight? You're going to be dancing naked or, do you dance naked? Oh my gosh. You can put your address up. No, just kidding. Summer solstice, once a year, longest day of sun in the year. And it happens because the earth is tilted as great as it can possibly tilt toward the sun. But what's interesting is that although summer solstice is here, winter solstice is also happening. Right? And solstice actually means sun standing still. Sun standing still. Because it seems like the sun is standing still. And for me, in this conversation that I'm having with you and you're having in your own mind at this point in time, it's like having a metaphysical consciousness is like the sun standing still. Living in our truth and acting as if, truly as if, that power is inherently ours, creates a sense of stillness. Not stuckness, as we might think standing still, relatively to us, I'm standing still. No, but I am standing and I am still. I am still in the knowing. And I'm standing for the knowing. I think building metaphysical consciousness is an invitation. And I think that's why we come here on Sundays. And that's why we study metaphysics, or study however we study, and walk however many paths we wish to walk, as we personally and spiritually develop our own experience and consciousness. So I think it's an invitation. It's the intention and the experience, or the cause and the effect of our thinking at its highest point. I think when we stand and we stand still, we hold a pattern in consciousness. And I remember watching the video of Dr. Michael Persinger, where he said, when the geomagnetic field is at its lowest intensity, and when we are still, the right brain starts to take over. And that's when we vibrate at the same hertz level, 7 hertz. And that's when we can tap in, when we are still. So for me, it makes sense to be tilted as far as we can be toward the sun or the light, the source of light and energy. God, sun, whatever you wish to call it. Now, one of our other colleagues wrote a little blog, and he offered it up into the field. His name is Reverend Dory Patelin. And he talked about the 7 deadly cynics. Because I know we have some cynicism within all of us that really fights and argues for our limitations and the limitations of life and the world. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that, just in case that might be going on in your mind. It's kind of like when Holmes created the treatment, 5-step treatment, he also created the 7-step, which I don't normally teach, but the 7-step is for those doubting Thomases and cynics, because it has an argumentative step in it. Because we always, it's one thing to declare something that we, in our alignment, in our stillness, understand is possible. It's one thing to declare it, but when things are going really bad in our lives and we're feeling so stuck and we can't get unstuck, it's kind of, we need a place to come up against those good thoughts, you know? It's just part of our nature, right? We've got to argue ourselves out of it, release the expression of it in order to open to a greater possibility, whatever that possibility might be. So he begins by saying, are you a cynic? Well, if not, I'm sure you know someone who is. What is it? Well, originally it was a Greek philosophical school of thought, but today it is taken to mean a person who believes that human beings act only for selfish motives. To a cynic, no one does anything that does not serve their personal interest. Behind every apparent act of altruism is a self-serving motive, and to a cynic, nothing is as it appears. They debunk people, or they are the people who debunk every noble and good thought, poo-poo any new idea. They are the ones who insist that the world was flat, told the Wright brothers that mankind would never fly, that humanity would never get to the moon, and today they are the ones that believe that the world is headed for ruin. They spend their lives living, thinking, and speaking of doom and gloom, never acknowledging that anything is fine, good, or noble. Are you thinking of people now? Most conspiracy theorists are cynics because they just cannot believe that good things are real. There has to be something sinister behind it all because people are just not good. Okay? So here are only 3 of the 7 deadly cynics. The first is, this is the worst of times, the planet is doomed, it's never been worse. Obviously, cynics don't study history. Actually, this is one of the best times in human history. There's less war, there's more food for all, more children go to bed on a full stomach than ever before, more people are literate than ever before in human history, more people live better and longer than ever in history, and there is more wealth and opportunity to become wealthy than ever before. Are there problems? Yes, of course there are. We have income inequality, we have terrorism, we have changing climate, and he emphasizes at the end of it, check out the 14th century if you want to see doom, gloom in a truly horrible time. Pardon? Check it out. Number 2, it will never work. We tried that already and it failed miserably. Yeah, we know that one. Yes, you tried it before, but perhaps you did it wrong or gave up too soon. Where one person fails, another succeeds, so try again. And of course he cites Thomas Edison, 4,000 times to make a practical light bulb. On the 4,001st try, he used tungsten and it worked. The third is, we have always done it this way, How dare you change it? Now, I recently said that, actually. Not how dare you change it, but I said it in another way. I said, why fix what ain't broke? I said it, and then I read, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the motto of these cynics. Problem is that you never know if something is broken until you try a new way of doing it. Totally makes sense. You cannot discover a better way if you never stray from the beaten path. Review your traditions from time to time and see if they still serve you or your organization, country, or culture. We're doing that right here with this church. Discard the outmoded and ineffective and find a better way. Traditions can be comforting and wonderful, but only as long as they serve the common good. So why did I talk about cynics? That's right. That's right. And when we're trying to create a metaphysical consciousness and stand still in the truth of who we are, we will have these cynics very close and swirling around us. And how are we going to be with those people? How are we going to be with ourselves, more importantly, when we are around those people or those people are around us? So it just gives you some food for thought, because if they are around you, then something within you, of course, has attracted those people. Now I want to share one more article, and this is from Dr. Petra Weldis. And she wrote, "To my African American brothers and sisters, I apologize. I am so sorry. This is my heartfelt apology, profound sorrow and deep outrage at the crimes being committed and that have been perpetrated in our past against you because of the color of your skin. I am ashamed, and I apologize for this unacceptable and unjust behavior by anyone who looks like me or who has the same color skin I do. My heart bleeds, my mind does not comprehend, and my soul is outraged that as human beings, we treat other human beings so grossly and inhumanely. I stand with you for a just and fair, safe and celebrated life. I affirm that as the insidious racial biases in our culture structures and institutions are finally caught on camera, that we are no longer able to pretend that they don't exist. There are no secrets. Nothing is private in this universe. And I affirm that all is healed. So, today, wherever you might feel depleted, undone, in lack, self-critical, broken or unworthy, let us not look towards the infinite field of potential for our supply, but to look from it as our supply. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, "Let there be light. Originated all of supply for all of time, since as its origin, supply in any of its forms is a form that is taken by light, including the light that shows up as health and supply. And so it also is that, with God's faith, I am likewise the speaker of supply. When I speak with God's faith, my proclamation, 'Let there be,' prospers as the form that the conclusion of my proclamation specifies, and nothing unlike that conclusion continues to be known by me." Now, I know there are many ways in which we can come to demonstrate and thereby know the truth of our nature of being as the nature of the creative power of life itself. As we travel along this journey, we may do it together, however. And we can do it together remembering that when we deny the story that we hold of ourselves and others, it will define us. It will define us. And then there are only secrets building upon secrets. But when we own our story and the story of others, we can together write a brave new beginning. And we are writing a brave new beginning. And so it is. Bless you.